Before you cut your next onion, pause for a moment. Look at that round, ordinary bulb sitting on your kitchen counter. To most people, it's nothing more than an ingredient, something to chop, to fry, to bring flavor to a meal. But according to ancient astrology, the onion is far more than food. It's a vessel of energy, a silent guardian of secrets, and for those who know how to use it, it's the key to unlocking wealth. Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? A vegetable you can buy for $1 at the grocery store, holding the power to change the direction of money in your life? But listen carefully, because while most people laugh and dismiss it, the rare few who have dared to try have discovered something astonishing. They've found that by placing an onion in one very specific spot and leaving it there for just 3 days, streams of opportunity, prosperity, and unexpected financial blessings began to flow toward them. And here's the warning. If you dismiss this, you will continue to walk the same path you've always walked. But if you take it seriously, if you dare to experiment, you might just step into the 1% of people who know the hidden ways energy moves. Imagine this. You come home from work, tired, frustrated, weighed down by bills and endless responsibilities. You place your bag on the counter. You see the pile of envelopes waiting for you. Rent, electricity, debts that never seem to shrink. But then, just beyond those bills, you notice the onion. Not chopped, not cooked, not forgotten. Sitting in the one place astrologers say it must be. And as strange as it feels, something about it changes the air in the room. A stillness, a pull, as if the onion itself is silently rearranging the energy around you. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can an onion possibly change my financial life? Let me remind you, for thousands of years, cultures around the world have used the simplest objects, salt, water, candles, herbs, as channels of energy. The onion, layered, earthy, born in the soil and shaped in concentric circles like planets orbiting the sun, has always been considered mystical. In astrology, its layers symbolize time, growth, and cycles. Its pungent smell was believed to drive away misfortune and bad spirits. Its roundness mirrored the shape of coins, the eternal flow of prosperity. Still think it's just food? Picture this. In ancient Mesopotamia, astrologers would study the stars and then instruct families to place onions in specific corners of their homes during certain phases of the moon. They claimed the onion absorbed negative energy, blocked stagnation, and opened doors to abundance. In Eastern Europe, families would leave onions overnight on windowsills, believing they would attract protection and unexpected financial luck. And even today, in quiet whispers, astrologers tell their clients the same thing. Don't just eat the onion, place it. Let it work for you. But here's what they don't tell you openly. It only works if the onion is placed correctly. 3 days in the right spot. No more, no less. 3 days and you create a shift in the unseen currents around you. 3 days. That's all it takes. So let me ask you, if something so simple could change the way money flows toward you, would you try it? Or would you dismiss it as nonsense and keep living with the same financial stress you've always known? I'm going to be honest with you. Most people never try. They hear something unusual and they laugh. They say, that can't be real. But those are the same people who struggle year after year, never realizing that sometimes the smallest, strangest habits are the ones that separate the wealthy from the struggling. You're watching this now because deep down, a part of you is curious. A part of you wonders if maybe, just maybe, there's truth here. And that curiosity is important, because curiosity is the first step toward change. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine 2 households. In the first, a family goes about life as usual, rushing, stressing, leaving their home cluttered, their shoes scattered, their onions chopped and discarded without thought. Money comes and goes, but mostly goes. Bills pile up, stress grows, energy stagnates. In the second household, someone listens to the astrologer's warning. They take a simple onion, place it carefully where it belongs, and for 3 days they honor that ritual. They don't laugh, they don't dismiss, they trust. And in those 3 days, something begins to move. A new job offer comes. A forgotten debt is repaid. An opportunity knocks. Life flows differently. You might call it coincidence, or you might realize it's alignment. And here's the truth. Rich people, the ones who move in circles you rarely hear about, they don't ignore rituals like this. In fact, many quietly practice them. They won't tell you because it sounds ridiculous. They prefer you not to know, because once you understand how energy really works, you're no longer trapped in the same system. You're free. And freedom is what separates the wealthy from everyone else. So, before you chop that onion for soup, for salad, for steak, stop. Hold it in your hand. Feel its weight, its layers, its smell. Remember that this isn't just food, it's energy. Ancient astrologers saw it as a tool, a magnet, a conductor of fortune. And here's what you must know. The onion must be placed, not eaten. Placed in the right spot for 3 days. Only then will the flow of money redirect. But I'm not telling you where yet, because I want you to listen carefully to everything else I'm about to reveal. If you skip ahead, you'll miss the deeper understanding. And without that understanding, the ritual is just superstition. With the understanding, it becomes powerful. Ask yourself, why did you click this video? Out of the millions of videos you could be watching right now, you landed here. Was it chance? Or was it something else? Something nudging you, guiding you toward knowledge you were meant to hear. Pay attention to that, because the truth is, there are no accidents.
So let this be your warning. Most people will hear this and forget it by tomorrow. They'll go back to cutting onions, wiping their eyes, throwing away what could have changed their lives. They'll stay in the 99%, the ones who don't know, who don't try, who don't believe. But you have a choice. You can listen to the astrologers. You can hold on to the possibility that something so simple might hold the key to a shift you've been waiting for. Stay with me, because at the end of this video, I'm going to reveal the exact secret location. And once you know it, you will never look at an onion or your finances the same way again. 3 days, 1 onion, the right place. That's all it takes. For centuries, humankind has looked for signs, objects, rituals, and symbols that could open the doors of fortune and protect against unseen forces. Some of these secrets have been forgotten, buried in the sands of time, but a few have remained, quietly passed down from generation to generation. One of the most surprising? The humble onion. Yes, the same onion you slice for dinner, the same vegetable that makes your eyes water. Hidden within this everyday food is a story that stretches back thousands of years, a story of wealth, protection, and the mysterious ways energy flows through our lives. In ancient Egypt, onions were not just food, they were sacred. The Egyptians saw in the onion something eternal. Each ring, each layer seemed endless, circling back into itself. For them, this was not coincidence. It was a symbol of eternity, of the never-ending cycle of life. Archaeologists have found onions buried in the tombs of pharaohs, carefully placed beside jewels and gold. Why? Because onions, they believed, would grant eternal life, guiding the soul safely into the afterworld. But onions did not remain only in the desert lands of the Nile. They traveled across continents, carrying their symbolism into other cultures. In medieval Europe, people hung onions at the entrances of their homes. These bulbs were thought to absorb evil spirits, ward off disease, and protect wealth from being stolen by dark forces. When merchants left for long journeys, they often tied onions to their carts, not just for food, but for protection. The onion became a shield, a guardian of the household. Even in astrology, the onion carried a hidden meaning. Each layer was seen as a protective shield, building barrier after barrier against negative energy. To astrologers, this made the onion more than a vegetable. It was a tool, a talisman that could guard prosperity and keep the flow of fortune safe. And so, while many people today look at an onion as just food, in truth, it has always been something more. A doorway, a channel, a simple object that in the right hands could shift energy and even attract money. Now, let me share with you a story that has been whispered through the centuries. A story of failure, despair, and an unexpected ritual with onions that changed everything. There was once a merchant in Europe centuries ago whose name is lost to time. He was not a great lord, not a famous nobleman, but an ordinary trader who dreamed of success. Yet no matter how hard he worked, he seemed cursed. Deals collapsed, customers vanished, debts piled high. His name became associated with failure, and even his family began to doubt him. One night, after another day of ruin, the merchant sat in despair. He confessed to a friend that he felt as though something invisible had locked his fortune away. He said, "It's as if the coins cannot flow to me, as if the path to wealth is blocked." His friend, unwilling to see him fall deeper, sent him to a man known for his wisdom, a local astrologer, someone people whispered about when misfortune struck. The astrologer listened quietly as the merchant poured out his troubles. Then, after a long silence, he said, "Your path is not broken, it is blocked. And what blocks energy can also be unblocked. There is an old ritual, simple but powerful. For 3 days, place onions in the corner of your home. Do not eat them, do not move them, simply let them rest there. Let them absorb the darkness that clings to you." The merchant almost laughed. Onions, that was the great secret? But he was desperate. He agreed. For 3 nights, he followed the instruction. On the first night, he swore the air in his home felt heavy, as if the onions were pulling something out of the walls. On the second night, he noticed the sharp scent of the bulbs filling the room, but it no longer stung. It felt clean, almost pure. By the third night, he slept more deeply than he had in years. And then, things began to shift. The contracts he thought were dead suddenly reopened. A partner who owed him money appeared at his door, unexpectedly ready to repay his debt. Within weeks, the merchant's fortune began to turn. He could hardly believe it himself. When people asked him what had changed, he would smile and say only this: "It was the onions. They unlocked the flow of money." Was it magic? Was it psychology? Or was it something in between? Whatever the truth, his story spread, and the ritual of the 3-day onion lived on. Astrology offers an explanation. In the language of the stars, onions are tied to Saturn, the planet of endurance, discipline, and lasting wealth. Saturn is a slow-moving, patient, unyielding. When aligned with Saturn's energy, rituals involving onions are said to bring stability and long-term prosperity. The many layers of an onion represent Saturn's shield, protecting fortune from leaking away. But even outside astrology, there is logic here. Science has proven that onions absorb odors, bacteria, and toxins from the air. They purify the environment. And when your environment feels lighter, fresher, your mind clears, you breathe easier, you think better. Studies show that clear spaces lead to clear decisions. And in finances, decisions are everything. A single wise choice can mean the difference between debt and abundance. Perhaps the onion, by purifying air and shifting energy, creates the space where such choices become possible. Think about it. When your home feels heavy, when the air feels stale, you feel trapped. But when the space feels light, your spirit rises, your mind sharpens. Isn't it in those moments of clarity that opportunities appear? The onion then is both mystical and practical. It absorbs darkness, it purifies space, and in doing so, it frees the path for money to flow again.
Now, let me tell you another story. This one is far closer to our time and far more personal. There was a woman, a widow, who lived in a small town. After the death of her husband, she was left alone, raising her daughter while fighting to keep her home. The bills grew heavier each month. The house felt dark, quiet, oppressive. She would sit at the kitchen table at night, staring at the unpaid notices, wondering how long before everything collapsed. One evening, she met an old astrologer at the market. Seeing the sorrow in her face, he asked her to share her troubles. She hesitated, but eventually told him everything: the debts, the loneliness, the feeling of suffocation. He listened, then said gently, "You are not cursed. You are simply surrounded by shadows that are not yours. Try something simple. Take onions, 3 of them. Place them in your home for 3 days. Let them draw the shadows out." On the third day, remove them from the house and watch how your spirit feels. The widow, though skeptical, decided to try. She had nothing to lose. She placed the onions as he instructed. The first night, she dreamed of her husband for the first time since his passing. He smiled at her in the dream, as if reassuring her. The second night, she awoke to find the air in her home felt lighter, almost as if a window had been opened. On the third day, she noticed something remarkable. She felt hope, a small flicker, but hope nonetheless. That very afternoon, a neighbor knocked on her door. He told her about a job opening at a local shop, a position that seemed almost made for her. She applied, and within a week, she was hired. The job paid enough to cover her bills and gave her the stability she had prayed for. When friends asked how she found the strength to carry on, she told them of the onions. They absorbed the darkness, she said. They made room for light, and the light brought opportunity. Her story spread too, and like the merchant centuries earlier, she became proof that sometimes the simplest rituals carry the greatest power. So what do we make of all this? Are onions magical? Or are they simply a reminder that even the smallest actions, tidying, purifying, creating order, can change how energy flows around us? Perhaps both are true. The ancients believed onions guarded life itself. The Europeans believed they protected wealth. Astrologers tied them to Saturn, to endurance and prosperity. And science shows they clean the air we breathe. Maybe the real secret is this. When you invite purity into your home, you invite clarity into your mind. And when your mind is clear, the doors to fortune swing open. The onion is not just food. It is a tool, a shield, a quiet guardian of wealth. And if you doubt it, remember the merchant who turned his fate around, or the widow who found hope again. They believed, they tried, and their lives changed. So perhaps tonight, when you look at the onions in your kitchen, you'll see them differently, not just as ingredients, but as keys. Keys to energy, keys to protection, keys to wealth. And maybe, just maybe, they will open a door for you too. For most of this journey, I have spoken in whispers. I have taken you through history, through stories of merchants and widows, through the hidden beliefs of the ancients. But now we reach the heart of the mystery, the part that few have ever been told, the secret that if you choose to act on it, could unlock a flow of energy in your home so powerful that it shifts your fortune itself. This is the placement ritual. Listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal is not common knowledge. It is not something you will find in ordinary books or in the chatter of everyday life. It has been passed quietly, deliberately, from teacher to student, from astrologer to seeker, and now it is in your hands. The secret is this: the onion must not be left anywhere. Not tossed on a shelf, not hidden in a drawer, not casually placed upon a kitchen counter. No, it has a place, a precise place. The onion must rest in the southeast corner of your home. Why? Because in the language of Feng Shui, in the geometry of energy that has guided countless wealthy families for generations, the southeast is known as the wealth corner. It is the gateway, the portal through which prosperity flows. Think of it as a doorway, invisible to the eyes, but alive to the energy of the universe. When you place the onion there, you do not merely decorate your home, you activate that gateway. You allow the layers of the onion to act like a sponge, drawing in the blockages that stopped fortune from flowing to you. Poverty, delay, stagnation, all of it begins to loosen, drawn into the onion, leaving the path open for money to move. And if for some reason you cannot reach that sacred southeast corner, perhaps your home is built in such a way that it is hidden or occupied, there is a second method. Place the onion inside a clean box made of wood or ceramic, natural materials, untouched by metal or plastic.
Place this box near your wallet, your safe, or wherever you store the symbols of your money. In this way, the onion touches the very heart of your financial energy, drawing away the shadows and replacing them with clarity. But placement is only half the secret. The ritual itself has rules that must be followed if the energy is to obey. First, you must select the onion carefully. It must be fresh, firm, unbruised, not one that has already begun to soften or sprout or rot. Because remember, this onion will serve as your vessel, your sponge. It must begin in purity if it is to absorb the impure. Second, before you place it, dry it gently. Wipe away any dirt, any lingering moisture. Then wrap it lightly, not tightly, not suffocatingly, in a cloth. The cloth may be white, the color of purity, or red, the color of life force and protection. Both are powerful. Both are acceptable. Third, place the onion at the chosen spot, and then leave it for 3 days and 3 nights. No more, no less. You must not move it, not touch it, not disturb it. For those 3 days, the onion will work in silence, absorbing, filtering, peeling away the layers of stagnation that have clung to your life. It is as if you are stripping away poverty itself, one layer at a time, until nothing remains but clarity at the core. It is like a filter, a silent, patient absorber of scarcity, of blockages, of invisible knots in the flow of prosperity. Once these are drawn out, the current of fortune can move again, smooth and unstoppable.
And those who have performed the ritual tell similar stories. They say that on the second day, the air feels different, lighter. They say that on the third night, sleep comes more easily, as if the worries have been lifted. And after the onion is removed, opportunities begin to knock. Small at first, a phone call, an old friend repaying a debt, a surprise tip at work. But soon the flow builds, like a river released from a dam. Do you understand now? This is not simply about food. This is about energy, about unlocking what has been trapped, about creating a space for money to move toward you. And yet, the power of this ritual is easily underestimated. People laugh at it. They say it's just an onion. But those who laugh are the same who continue to struggle, never realizing that wealth often begins with small, precise acts. The 1% of the rich, they do not laugh, they act, quietly, consistently, because they understand that fortune respects discipline. So let me say this clearly, with no hesitation, with the weight of truth. Do not underestimate the onion. Do not underestimate its role as a tool, as a gatekeeper, as an absorber of shadows. If you perform the ritual as it has been taught, you may very well find that the flow of your life shifts in ways you cannot explain. If you ignore it, if you dismiss it, then you allow the blocks to remain. You allow poverty, stagnation, and misfortune to stay where they are, inside your home, inside your life. 3 days, 1 onion, 1 secret corner. That is all it takes. It may seem too small, too simple, but wealth does not always come from grand gestures. Often it begins with the quietest of rituals, the smallest of objects, the most humble of beginnings. So I challenge you. Tonight, take an onion, choose it with care, prepare it with respect, place it where it belongs, and wait. 3 days, nothing more, nothing less. Then release it, and watch. Observe how your spirit feels, how your days flow, how opportunities begin to whisper at your door. This may be the moment that changes everything. Because sometimes all it takes to open the gates of fortune is not a contract, not a business deal, not even a stroke of luck. Sometimes it is as simple as an onion. And so we arrive at the end of this revelation. The choice is yours now. You can dismiss it as superstition,
Or you can try. And in trying, you may discover that the smallest actions often unlock the greatest doors. 1 onion, 3 days, 1 secret corner. Try it, watch, and see what changes. And if you do, remember this moment, because the line between scarcity and abundance may be thinner than you think.